there's a better way to do this stuff. And I'm going to talk to you about how to do that and why it makes so much sense. If an endpoint is stateful, it's nothing more than a launch point for an adversary. If you kind of think about it for a second about what goes on with an endpoint, and I mean all kinds of endpoints, if it stays in the same state, it's just providing the bad guy an ability to launch stuff inside of a system or inside of a network. If you think about it, and I was a red teamer at NSA, if you think about it from a red teamer perspective, I want your machines to be stateful. Because what does that mean? When I drop a backdoor, I can come back to said machine and leverage said machine to do things inside of your network. The other thing about endpoints that people kind of lose in the mix is your endpoint is not much more than a door to the infrastructure itself. Honestly, red teamers, bad guys, they're not usually too interested in your machine itself. We want what's behind it. It's kind of like if I walk up to your front door, I don't care about your door. I want what's in the house. Bad guys don't sit there and go, yes, we got an endpoint. They go, yes, we got infrastructure. If your endpoint stays stateful, that just means I can come back later. Additionally, if you look at what's going on the underground, bad guys will take one machine and they'll sell it to somebody else. And they sell it in bulk, tens of thousands of endpoints at a time, so that folks have an ability to come back and use those systems for other accesses. It's big time business. If you don't believe it, go look it up and research it. It is basically funding a lot of Russian criminal operations. Not that the Russians ever do this stuff. I'm just saying theoretically, right? The Russians might hack people's machines. Traditional endpoints preserve the basic material that attackers need to turn one session into a foothold. If I get to one machine, especially a machine that is authenticated and authorized and connected, guess what? I'm able to leverage all those things on that machine to get towards the next step. If you think about endpoint security and the technology we've currently been buying, and some vendors who market stuff like we stop breaches, except for they don't, and they actually bring down the internet on their own because they ship bad code on Friday, you're basically saying, I can do stuff at the kernel level. If I can do things at the kernel, that's God mode. Right? All this software that's running out there that does stuff to stop breaches, which it doesn't, is operating at the kernel mode. Go look up bypass methodologies. It is easy to leverage kernel to do a whole lot of bad things inside of systems. You do not want to leave your endpoints in a stateful position unless you want to offer it up to the bad guys to leverage it and resell it. If we change the unit of control from the device itself and move towards a model where the session is the avenue of control, that takes the bad guy's ability away to continually access that system. How many folks have ever heard the conversation from a phishing test about the bad guy's only got to be right once? I hate that because that's a victim mentality, a victim mindset. Just because you kicked in my front door doesn't mean you get to live there and drink my beer, right? That's not the way that this works. I'm from Texas. It definitely going to work out well for you. The truth of the matter is you want to move towards a session-based approach because session means for the time that we're connected, bad things might happen. But when we roll over and reset and nuke the machine back to a known good state, you lose. From the bad guy perspective, if I'm reselling access on the underground to machines that I tell people I've compromised and those accesses go away, guess what? On the bad guy world, I am no longer a valid seller. These folks rate each other. They have like Yelp for criminals. If you're doing bad things and you're selling machines that don't provide access, they will talk, they share it in the forums, and you will lose those customers. If we can change the approach from here's a machine, it's up, it's stateful, I've got antivirus running on it, we're good, to here's a machine, it does what it needs to do, only the applications that are available for that session are available, do what you need to do, and then you're done, move on, the bad guys lose. If we don't impact the user negatively, everybody wins. This used to be theory and concept, now it's actual technology. Temporality essentially denies persistence. That's what we're trying to get to. I don't care if you get compromised. I'm sorry, it sucks for you, your machine got hacked. What I care about is taking care of my infrastructure. Breaches, honestly, are not the end of the day. Statistically speaking, look up organization stock prices before and after a breach. This is the only space where you can fail horrifically and your stock price goes up. Because no one thinks you can possibly be that screwed up twice. Except for T-Mobile, who did it 3 times in 1 year, and their stock price continues to go up. Just saying. The control objective here actually is to remove the foothold. If there's nowhere durable for the bad guy to exist, you are the harder target. They will find someone else. It's not worth their time and effort. If I have 100,000 other machines out there that I can get to and compromise and resell and make that money and buy my Lambo and drive it around Red Square in Moscow, why would I bother with your organization where everything's a family? It's not worth it. If you change the script here and you put the control back in your plane and remove it from the adversaries and take away what they want, they'll find something else. A rising tide in cyber does not lift all ships, but it sure takes care of me. I'm sorry for you. You're choosing to do things the old way. You're going to suffer for it. Me and my organization, we're going to adapt and we're going to do things the right way and remove the bad guys' ability to be successful. That's what it's all about. If you're bounding it, it's compromised to that session window. We already do this. If you think about SSO to some degree, how long does an SSO session last? Hopefully about 8 hours. So at least you know at 8 hours, somebody's logging out, logging in, whatever else. We can do this in real time on the machine, which is very interesting, which really changed the plan. I want to go back to a known good state. You deployed malware on my machine. Oh no, that's terrible. Guess what? You roll back over, malware's gone because we were in a clean state prior to that. Go ahead. Like, I'll take my machine and drop it in downtown Pyongyang. You can put whatever you want on it when it reloads and goes back to the session before. Life is good. Not that you should be doing stuff in Pyongyang. I'm just saying that's the idea. And recoverable. Known good is known good. Additionally, what you see with this approach is you get rid of a lot of crap running on machines that's just slowing stuff down, aka Microsoft's entire portfolio. Right? I mean, that's what you're getting to. If you can prove the policy, you're doing things to enable compliance quicker, better, faster. There's no reason that you should be compliant for your entire infrastructure. The only people that benefits are the auditors. Why do I have to be compliant for everything in my infrastructure when everything in my infrastructure is not actually within the scope of the compliance objective?
Yeah.
That seems kind of dumb when you think about it. Why do I have to have everything PCI compliant? Only the stuff that does credit cards should be PCI compliant. But if it's connected and it's not ephemeral and you don't have policy to govern it, guess what the auditors say? It's got to be compliant because we said so, right? Same thing, hospitals. So if you would change the approach and you go only the stuff that's supposed to be there is going to be there, only the things that can access it are supposed to access it, and we're going to apply compliance controls for those machines where it needs to be, you reduce your compliance portfolio. If you reduce your compliance portfolio, you save money because auditors ain't cheap. Additionally, you're moving to a space where you will know what is more segmented, what is more isolated, and where the controls are actually effective. Because you're not trying to prioritize everything all the time for the sake of satisfying some spreadsheet. This approach makes so much more sense when you step back and you go, wait a minute, that's kind of the way digital infrastructure was supposed to work when we started out. We just kept piling crap on top of it, and then the auditors got hold of it and said, well, if it touches this, it must be compliant as well. That's not how it's supposed to work. Not every endpoint should be a workstation. If you think about what's going on with your organization, there's a lot of people that work in your organization that probably don't need an Intel Pentium 7 processor, Super Dell computer, whatever else, because there's probably a lot of folks that work on terminals that do just one or two things. If you go to the airport, you know those folks that stand up there and do the clickety clicks and then get your seat and change it and give you the crappy Cokes and all the other stuff. Like, they should only have one application that they need with one user logged in to do the thing, and then somebody else jumps on it. Again, changing the approach means that we're removing the problem space. Most of the time, additionally, on top of compliance, we are paying for a lot of stuff that we shouldn't be paying for, and the only organizations that benefit from it are the people that sell us the software to do that thing. If it's a terminal, if it's a thin client, if it's a dumb session, whatever else, it shouldn't have all that other stuff on it. You shouldn't have to be secure or compliant for some terminal that does one thing. That's a waste of your money, it's a waste of your time, it's an increased risk, and it makes no sense. The math actually works out better for us if we approach this stuff more intelligently, and I did this based on a sample with 1,000 endpoints, and if you really look at it, ephemeral terminals at $7 a month, right? You're rolling through their CrowdStrike, not that I'm calling out any companies here, but I'm just saying their math is publicly available, so it sucks for them, right? If you want to license all 1,000 of those machines from CrowdStrike, you're looking at $184,000. Yikes. If you change the approach and just go to this model with just the stuff we're talking about that is a 40% reduction, you're saving a lot of cash. And guess what happens when you save cash, CapEx, OpEx side? You can use that money for other things. So this is a better way of approaching the problem. Do not remove the security stuff that you need. Remove the unnecessary things and the statefulness of the machine. Reduce the compliance scope. Optimize investment. Optimize budget. And do things quicker, better, faster because you can. It's a change in the approach. But this technology exists. It's here right now. Zscaler is not going to save you a lot of money over those folks. $180,000. Now, what they also don't tell you on this particular slide, and I can tell you because I was an analyst at Forrester, this is not even including the services to make that stuff work. All right, that's just for the software itself. They will nickel and dime you to death to make sure that everything's doing what it's doing and that they have pro services, that you've got SLAs, whatever else. Why would I budget for that when I can just remove that from the equation? If it's one machine with one application, I'm pretty sure that I can manage that. Don't pay to maintain entropy. The ephemeral model, define the policy, run the session, reset, reload, and keep going. The user will not be affected by this. The machine will not be affected by this. You're rolling over to a known good state. You will get rid of bad things. Like I said, you can actually say, go ahead, drop malware on this. When it rolls over, based on the policy, you're back to where you were before. This removes the bad guy's ability to be successful. Less visits, less sprawl, less patching, less BS. All those things go away. You're actually taking care of what needs to be taken care of for the purposes of solving the problem, not doing the work because you feel like doing the work, but because the auditors tell you have to do the work. Really just take a second and wrap your head around it and ask the question, if I have 1,000 machines, how many of those 1,000 machines are we using everything on the machine all the time? The number is probably pretty close to zero. Why would you let yourself have that excessive risk when you can remove it? When the endpoint does not persist, the compromise cannot persist. You win, the bad guy loses. Like, it's that simple. This is a math equation. It's physics. It can't get any simpler. Additionally, we're doing things like removing the ability for auditors to eat you alive on cost. You're enabling compliance. And you're removing the issues that you face around patch management. Everyone freaks out about Mythos, right? I've heard so much junk about Mythos and all the end of days, nuclear radioactive NSA level compromises that are about to occur. If my machine doesn't have to deal with the application patching and processing stuff that Mythos is targeting and going after, I don't care. Great. You'll find new exploits. It's not going to matter because I'm going to roll over to the known good state. So this was quick. They only gave me 10 minutes. But, the point of this whole thing is to understand there is a better way to do cybersecurity. There's a more intelligent approach to the problem. It aligns with things like zero trust strategically, and it's based on using the technology the correct way with the right capabilities to remove the adversary's ability to be successful. This is not even about defensive thinking. Defensive thinking has failed us categorically. If you really go back to when we start talking about high walls and firewalls and whatever else, what did we used to call malware? We called them Trojans, right? You know what we called them Trojans? Because the first time the perimeter-based model of cybersecurity failed was in Troy, which was in 1400s, and made a bad movie with, Brad Pitt as the guy that was saving everybody, right? Achilles, there you go. So, we've known for 1,000+ years that model was categorically going to fail. All we did was digitize it, put everything on the planet on it, give it excessive capabilities, excessive privileges, and excessive access, and said, man, if we build a higher wall, eventually we'll get this right. You can keep doing that, and you can be the easy target, you can be the slow gazelle, or change the approach, change the thinking, optimize the investment, and do things the smarter way.
Yeah, that was great. Let me ask you one question. You covered a ton of ground, but I think it's really important. If people want to follow up with you, where do they go?
So if you see these guys in the purple shirts here, Scylos, they'll be over here at the booth, and we are glad to take your challenges, talk nerd talk, monkey knife fight in the parking lot, like whatever you want.
Enjoy your lunch and swing by the Scylos booth.